All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Our Culture Podcast. We have a pretty cool opportunity today. Jonathan Hambrick is in the building.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about it's something it's just kind of come full circle. So on our first episode, if you guys have not watched that, just go back and watch it because it really shares Dom and I's vision. But what kind of organically happened this week was the vision of this podcast and why we came up with the name Our Culture. So Jonathan had messaged me. We just started working together. Jonathan's fresh off the Olympia, and he had messaged me like 3 or 4 days after Christmas and said, "Hey, Coach, I'm going to be able to come down. I just want to come down and be a part of what you guys are doing," which meant a lot to me because it wasn't forced on him. We just started working together, and he just said he wanted to come down and train. So I had, and I've not talked about this up until this point, but I kind of put the brakes on it, and I just wanted to communicate with him. I have to have a surgery tomorrow, which I've not talked about. So I didn't want to have him come down here and it not be the experience that I had hoped it would be for him in terms of us being able to train together because I've not been able to train. And I knew that after tomorrow I'd kind of be out of commission for a few days. But he said, "No, I want to come down. I just want to see what you guys are doing, and I want to be a part of it." So anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
I want to start this off and kind of just go into a little bit of your history.
Sure.
Your family life, your background, how you got into bodybuilding, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, so for me, it started, my dad was doing this. He was a bodybuilder, and he had me in the gym when I was like 10, 12, like doing stuff like bench and curls and just learning the basics, really. And he was like my superhero. I looked up to him because he was a big guy, and I looked up to him. I wanted to do exactly what he did. Like, I wanted to be my dad. So, unfortunately, parents didn't work out. He left when I was 10, and
Okay.
I didn't see him again for years. So, that vision that I had of him was kind of gone. But, him and I rekindled our relationship about when I was about 18. And then, that came back together, and then that's when I started to get back into all the lifting stuff. Once he left, I completely, washed it. I was like, I'm done with it. That's when I got really deep into soccer, and that kind of drove me, in sport-wise, far with my mindset and everything like that. So when I did hop back into the gym, I had a mission, and I was driven. I wanted to be a little bit stockier so I could hold my weight on the field. At the time, I was in high school, so some of the guys were bigger. So I wanted to just lift just for those reasons. Once I went to college, I got injured playing soccer, and then that's when I got really into to all this stuff, like just trying to put on some size to rehab myself. And then that's when I really fell in love with just looking in the mirror and seeing my body grow, get bigger, and just the feeling of the pump and stuff like that.
Okay. Something else too. I don't want you guys to hear us talking and think that Matt doesn't know very much about him in terms of coaching. So we just started working together, but Jonathan had reached out to me. I think he was maybe 8 weeks out of the Olympia.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he reached out to me 8 weeks out of the Olympia and said, I really want to be a part of your team. I really like the way that you coach young guys, especially younger guys. I don't feel like I've ever really had a full off season, and I have so much that I want to learn. So what I said to him at that point is I said, "Look, I would love to take you on, but I don't want any part of your Olympia prep. I don't want to see pictures. I don't, out of respect for Chris, I don't want to get in the way of anything." So basically, we just kept a very professional relationship. I checked in on him and just a few times and just said, "Hey, I think he purchased a shirt at one point and told me about that," and I thanked him for that. But I wanted to basically respectfully keep our distance until it was time for me to actually help him. So when I'm asking these questions to him, I'm also learning this stuff for the first time myself. The other day when he got into town, I met up with him to actually give him a pass for the gym. And that was when I found that we have a lot of common denominators between us. We grew up in the same area. We played soccer for the same classic program. I played for Alpharetta Ambush. You played for
NASA.
Yeah. So we just had a lot of things right off the bat. I got injured playing soccer in college. He got injured. Our injuries were different. I had, and many of you guys might not know this, I suffered several concussions within our spring season, which wasn't actually our soccer season, but our spring season was very competitive, and we were kind of vying for our position for a playing spot, and I had several concussions going into my sophomore year that led me to stop. But it's just kind of cool how. Yeah. We've found this common ground in soccer, and I think athletics plays such a huge background. And what I've noticed within physique sports is that there's a difference when I coach previous athletes in other realms versus somebody that got into this maybe. And I think for a lot of us, like Jonathan just mentioned, we might get into bodybuilding to compensate for something. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Whether it's, you athletically needed more size, whether it was for just, maybe you were small in high school and you wanted to get bigger for girls or guys or vice versa. But what I've noticed, and it's a constant trend, the people that I help that have an athletic background, their mentality and their ability to be coached is different, than people that basically got into physique sports without any athletic background. So I want to go into let's just talk about your mentality. Let's talk
Absolutely.
about, what you learned in soccer, some of the things that you told me when you contacted me.
Yeah, absolutely.
What your goals are moving forward,
Yes.
and things like that.
Absolutely. So I've expressed like some to you before, but just for some more insight, I told you, when I had my injury to my knee, I went through a bad period of anger and depression, and when I came out of that and I really got into this, I told myself losing, I felt like I lost, when I was injured and I could no longer play because, what I had wasn't a career-ending injury. It shouldn't have been. But that's what my doctor told me, and I'm not sure why he said that, but he was like, you'll never be able to cut again, you'll never be able to play. I took that to heart when I really could have played again. Folks come back from an injury like that all the time.
Sure.
But I took it so hard, I felt like, I felt like a loser. To be completely, blunt, I felt like I lost out. I was like, dang, why is this happening to me? I went through about 6 months when I was relearning to walk and stuff like that, where I went through a period of anger and depression, and then when I came out of that, and I started lifting again, I told myself, I'll never feel like this ever again. Anything I do, I'm going to do it to the maximum of my ability, and I'll never feel like this again. I'll never be a loser ever again. And that's when I come to you, I told you, I said, this is really serious for me. When I get with you, it's not I want to bodybuild to have a good time. I'm doing this as a hobby. No, this is my life. I want to make an income from this. I want to be at the top. I look up to guys, but I look up to them because I want to beat them.
Right, yeah.
I don't look up to them guys I want to look like this guy, or I want to look like Phil Heath. I want to be where he is. No, I want to beat Phil Heath. I want to beat what he's done. That's the type of mentality that I have, and I express that to you, and it'll never change.
Yeah.
So anything that we do, when you tell me stuff and you're honest with me, when some folks would get their feelings hurt when you're like, oh, okay, well, this is why Nick's doing this and this is why you're here. But that stuff doesn't hurt my feelings.
Right.
You made a post the other day, because I watch everything you post, and you made a post the other day where you're like, it was saying something like, athletes want a coach, but something wants the truth.
Yeah, so there's a couple things that I posted the last several days. There's a guy that I follow. He's a coach. He's a women's softball coach, but he posts some really impactful stuff. And he posted a picture of Nick Saban the other day, which is somebody that I look up to greatly. And I think it said, average athletes want to be told how good they are. Mm-hmm. Good athletes want to be coached. Great athletes want to be told the truth.
Absolutely.
And that goes right into what I'm talking about bodybuilding, because again, the people that I connect the best with, they came from a hard athletic background, because there's a disconnect within bodybuilding. And I want to talk about Kuwait for a second and the culture that they have in Kuwait. I think in Kuwait they have so many things so right, because they're basically built like an NFL team. And if you don't want to be a part of that team, it's not the coach who leaves, it's the athlete who leaves. And that's, from the top down, from the owner, from batter, from the coaches, that's a unit and a group that's in sync. And then if you don't get along with that unit, the coach isn't kicked out, the athlete has to go somewhere else. And within coaching, within physique sports, a lot of times, and I explain this to a lot of people, I'm nothing more than a glorified customer service person. But every once in a while, I find these people that I can really get stuck in with, and that I can be honest with, and I can tell the truth with. And that's really when the magic happens, when I can actually fulfill my role as a coach. Because so often, I feel like I have to coach walking on eggshells in terms of, is this going to make somebody upset? And I'm just simply trying to tell that person the truth. I'm trying to get the best out of that person. And more often than not, I kind of have to walk around that rather than going in a direct path. So with Jonathan, what he's saying right now, we have a lot of work cut out for us. Mm-hmm. We have a lot, I think structurally, he probably has one of the best bone structures in the IFBB right now. I mean, I honestly do.
I appreciate that.
But we just have a lot to fill out, and I think him coming down here, and I wanted to make sure that I was here today to train legs with him, because I want to leave him with a feeling of training at this gym that he can carry home with him and then replicate. And then
Absolutely.
as that feeling starts to leave, then he comes back, and we just continue to reiterate those motor patterns and, the effort and the execution. And also I wanted him to train alongside Nick, which in some ways it's like Nick should be training alongside Jonathan, because in terms of the pro ranking, Jonathan's accomplished more. He literally just got off the Olympia stage. Nick hasn't seen the Olympia stage yet, but I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that anybody that comes down here and trains with Nick is going to leave as a better lifter.
Absolutely.
And that was my goal with him coming down here to train with Nick. So let's talk about kind of your program so far, the differences in your program, and then like today's workout.
Well, like I told you, I've never had a training plan. I was talking to Nick about that this morning, and he was like, "Oh, dude, you're going to blow up." Because I go to the gym before I got with you and just, if it's chest day, I just do what to do. I just go in there and if I want to do this machine, I do it.
Yeah.
So I haven't ever had any structure. So this is the first time for me ever having structure on a training plan. So me having to train a different way as well, we're coming to true failure, which is, Matt just told me the other day. He was like, this stuff is what you're doing is good, because I've been on the plan, but he was like, you got more reps in you. Find it, dig deep, and get those last few in. And, I'm so caught up on like, okay, well, I got to get, he said 10 to 12. So if I hit 10 to 12, like I have to stop at 12, even if I have 8 more.
Yeah.
Because I can get 8 more sometimes like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to stop at 12. And then sometimes it's hard to find that weight that's exactly at 12 reps. So it's like, you go for that max set.
Right.
So it's a whole new world for me. So learning that and then actually being able to see it today, like what true failure is, where I'm like, okay, maybe I need a partner in the gym, someone who can kind of help me get the weight up, stuff like that. Because I usually lift alone.
Yeah.
But it's a different world when you have somebody there where it's like, okay, if I fail on this, I know he can get it off me, or I know he can help me hit that true failure. Because sometimes, when you're alone, it's hard to hit true failure too, because you're just not mentally pushing yourself as hard as someone who's watching your rep. Because sometimes I feel like, okay, this is going real slow, like this rep is going really slow, but it's actually going fast.
Right. Right.
And I learned that today when I thought, on the leg press, where I thought like, okay, this rep is moving slow, like I'm probably done. And you were like, well, just take a breather, and bang out 5 more. And I'm like, 5 more? There's no way I can get 5. No way I can get 5 more.
Yeah.
Then out of nowhere, the 5 come, and you're like, okay, 5 more. And it's like, huh? I've never seen anything like that.
Right.
I didn't even know my body was capable of that. But, when I walk away from it, I'm like, okay, now I know, like, when I go home, like,
how to replicate that.
Yeah, how to do that again. And I'm thinking, like, well, what I've been doing for the past 2 years, although I've had great success getting to the Olympia stage twice and stuff like that, man, imagine where I could have been. Yeah. And that's the stuff where I'm like, okay, that's why I'm taking everything that you show me here, taking it home, because I'm like, wow, I've done a lot in 2 years, but damn, I could have been, woo.
Sure.
Had I been on a plan, had I been training like this way, had I been hitting true failure, had I been actually maximizing my calories and maximizing my muscle that I have, it would have been incredible.
Yeah. I think something that comes to mind when I'm working with him is kind of my whole goal when I first started coaching is I knew that genetically I lacked. But I felt like mentally I didn't lack at all, and so within that being said, I wanted to take guys that I thought could accomplish greatness and really carry that plan through with him. And Jonathan, like just as we were working out, he reiterated to me, he's like, Matt, like I want to learn, I don't know that much. And you take somebody that's been on the Olympia stage twice and they're so hungry to learn it, it makes me really excited because it tells me like, we have so much that we can accomplish because he's so green, and that's also the hard thing within coaching is you have to look beyond the visible physique at the time. So obviously Jonathan's extremely gifted, but he still can only be at 20%, like in terms of what he's truly capable of, because he doesn't even have really the tools and the knowledge application for himself. Because when I coach somebody, especially a pro, my goal, honestly, at the end of the day is to kind of be a co-pilot to what they're doing and have them driving the plane. But he's got to have the knowledge to be able to drive that plane. So it's my job to kind of instruct that right now and get us to a point where he feels confident in being able to make more calls for himself, and making those judgment decisions at the time that they're needed. So this is going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Absolutely.
Something else too that I talk about often, because I like to relate things back to sports, but like Phil Jackson, for example, like he didn't have to tell Michael Jordan or Kobe to shoot the ball every time. Ultimately, when you have an athlete that possesses the potential that Jonathan has, like he's going to have to learn to call shots on his own. But at the same time, I can't expect him to call shots or train to true failure without being shown what true failure looks like. He can only do what he perceives to know, and he has to be taught, other than that, what those next steps are. So that's really what our goal is as a team moving forward. Because, like, for example, we started out with legs today because structurally his upper body is so broad, it's so wide, he has a lot to fill out with his legs. I don't even think that we've really talked about like a time commitment yet, but I honestly think it's going to be 18. Because what his goal, we haven't even talked about. Let's switch to that. Mm-hmm. What's your goal? What are we working towards as a team?
Well, we're working towards open.
Right.
And I want to be.
Yeah. That's the first time you said that publicly?
That is. That's
okay,
actually,
so that's
that's the first time I ever said
wanted you to say that. Yeah. So
yeah.
He's been on the Olympus stage twice now as a physique competitor in classic physique. But we're working towards him being an open bodybuilder. So let's talk about that.
Yep. So I told Matt, I told him, I don't care how long it takes. I'll work as hard as you want me to do it, but if it takes 2 years, it takes 2 years. Yeah. It doesn't matter, because I don't want to step on the open stage and, you did good. No, I want to be on the open stage. I want to be top 5 in the Olympiad. Like that's my goal, and that's what we're going to accomplish, man. I put my full faith in you. And I told you that from day one. Yeah. I said, you call the shots, I'm just here to execute.
Right.
So that is my goal. I want to be top 5 Olympia in open bodybuilding. I want to be a Mr. Olympia one day. And I know I can do it. Yeah. That's the thing. I know with my tall structure, I know how to pose. I know how to, have that stage swagger and stuff like that. All I got to do is, follow the plans, get that hardness, get that, that dense muscle, and just, be big enough to be or be bigger than enough. Right.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm all in, man. Like I've always said, like this is all I want to do. Yeah. I want to be the best in the world. Right. That's it.
Yeah. So for those of you guys that don't know, he's only 23. Okay. So time is more than on our side. Mm-hmm. And I think within coaching him, if I were to set a plan right now, it would kind of me just be being untruthful. So really what I want to do is I want to see how he responds from now until the summer. And then I think from now until the summer, as I gauge his response, then I can kind of set more of a trajectory of, hey, we need 18 months off. Hey, we need 2 years off. Even with you being here, something else, Jonathan has the freedom to travel. At some point, I want you to go train with Brett Wilkin. Okay. Because he basically has done what you're wanting to do. Mm-hmm. So he left the 212. Mm-hmm. He actually turned pro in Classic.
Yeah, I remember.
Competed in the 212, and he did his last show in June of 2019. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he took from 2019 in June off, and now he's starting his prep for his open debut.
Yeah.
Yep. So he basically took a full 18-month off season, but he is methodical as it gets.
Yeah.
He doesn't miss a beat, and he lives this life in pursuit of wanting to be the best he could possibly be. You know? So that I think that would be another good guy that you could surround yourself with. Be around. Yeah, he told me that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our goal in terms of our plan. Is I don't really have a plan yet. The goal is to go to open. I don't know, because this is a new relationship, how long it's going to take for us to get to the open, but that's where my focus is.
Same. That's where I want to be.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about just some fun life stuff.
Okay.
What do you like to do outside of training?
Man, I'm a gamer, bro. Okay. I play World of Warcraft. That is my game, and I am on that 24/7.
Did you bring it with you here?
Yes, I did. I bring it with me everywhere I go, man. I have my gaming laptop and everything here. That's what I do, man. I like to play that. I try to get the PS5, but oh my goodness, that is very hard to get right now.
I actually saw, yesterday for the Tostitos, well, it used to be the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
But PlayStation sponsored it.
Oh, wow.
And all the players for both teams
got
one.
PS5?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah, I tried to get that this year at Best Buy, man. Oh my gosh, it's like finding a golden egg or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, but that's okay. I have my laptop, man, and I'm good.
Okay, so when you play that, because this is not my world at all, you play against other people on the
Oh
computer,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
It's completely online, so everyone. I mean, it's millions of players on there.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's my thing, man. I'm on that game 24/7. It takes me out of the world, though. You know, it's a nice relaxation too.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's cool. What else do you like to do?
Shoot, man, I like
We
the
just
game.
what we just talked about off camera before this started.
Oh.
Tell them about Universal and.
Oh yeah. I like to do I'm a Harry Potter fan, so I like to watch the movies, read the books. That's my thing, man. I like Harry Potter and I like Twilight. I like anything that's like magical. That's my thing. Like that's my world is the magical stuff.
Okay.
So wizards, witches, vampires, all that stuff, I love it. So that's like the shows I watch on like Netflix too.
Yeah.
Anything with that kind of genre, that's my thing.
That's
so
awesome.
and anime.
Okay.
That is my thing too. That's what me and Lauren have been doing nonstop right now is anime.
Okay.
I've been watching anime for years, but it's fun to see her get into it.
Yeah.
Because that's her. She's from that kind of country anyway. She's Vietnamese.
Okay.
So that's what they do anyways.
Yeah.
So, but she had never been introduced to that. Living over in Deculip, but I've been showing her a lot of stuff like that, and she's really got hooked on it. So I've been doing a lot of stuff like that with her too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, food wise, what's your favorite? What's last meal on Earth?
Last meal on Earth?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I know John. He's not a big foodie, so
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what he says here.
Man, I was honestly gonna say like a burger and fries, like something, something real basic, man. My mom didn't. She had us eat so healthy when I grew up, because she was like that. She was a track runner too at Michigan State, so she's always been like, you got to eat your greens, you got to, eat all this good stuff, and she cooked for us all the time. She was a stay-at-home mom. She cooked every meal. Like my meals that I took to school when I was in high school and stuff like that were like homemade roast beef and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, they always call me like the food kid, because I would have all this crazy dinners and stuff in my lunchbox.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, my food, if it was the last meal, it'd probably be something my mom cooked, honestly.
Okay.
She's like a world-class chef, man. She can cook anything, and it's incredible.
Do you like sweets?
No.
No?
Nope, I'm not a sweet guy at all. I'm so lactose intolerant, man.
Okay.
Like, I know after the Olympia in 2018, I took one bite of pizza and puked immediately.
Wow.
Like, I can't do anything dairy.
Yeah.
So I stay away from anything dairy.
Now,
like,
is that since you started competing, or was that prior
No,
to?
that's been forever, man.
Okay.
So, like, when my mom would bake, like, cakes and stuff, I don't even eat it. That's the one thing I don't eat. Like, I do, like, meats, like beef and stuff like that, rice. I've always done, like, beef and rice because I can't do anything dairy.
Yeah.
It'll mess with me immediately. So I don't do ice cream, anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if I do it, I'll sacrifice sometimes and be like, all right, I know it's going to hurt, but it's good. I do like the taste of it. I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah. Now, you said your mom ran track at Michigan State?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, crazy story, man. I love it, but she used to date Magic Johnson.
Wow.
Yeah, right? He tried to date her, but then she said that he was like a player and stuff like that. So she like ended it with him. But yeah, man, she was with him for the, I guess, the formal or whatever at Michigan State.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
That is crazy.
I'm glad she didn't get into it. All the stuff that he's been through. But yeah.
That's crazy. Now, has anybody else in your family played collegiate sports?
My dad played rugby over, like, I think it was pro over in Canada or something like that.
Okay.
Before he had me. This was long before I was born, but that's it.
Okay.
Other than that, man, I don't know too much about the rest of them. My sisters played basketball in high school, but never in college.
Jonathan, he actually told me, so two things. He played Division I soccer.
Yep.
And then he told me that four of his sisters
Yes.
are actually taller
than me.
than he is, and he's 6'2". So obviously there's some genetics that run in his family.
Absolutely. And they're not like skinny either. They're pretty stocky, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. We got a tall family.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, my mom's not tall. That's the crazy part. She's 5'6.5".
Okay.
Though my dad is my height.
Yeah.
Well, he's old now, so you shrink a
Sure,
little bit.
sure.
But everybody else, like he said that his grandfather was like 6'7" or something like that, like crazy tall. So I guess it just, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
where it comes from, but
Yeah.
everybody is tall. It's weird.
That's
My
crazy.
shortest one is 5'10" that I was saying. That's
Taller than
crazy.
me.
Yeah, right. Tall. It's taller than my mom. And her mom too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. All right, you have any questions you want to ask me?
Not
Not to put you on the spot, but
let me think. Yeah, I didn't think about it yet. Where do you see me going as an athlete?
that's a good question. I think, like I said, I need to see the trajectory over the next 6 months. But I mean, I'm fully committed to getting you. We just need to put a lot of size on your legs.
Yep.
I
calves.
think as we put the size on your legs, everything else is just kind of organically come.
Yes.
And then just getting you to the point where you want to be.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take some time. I think we need to take it through baby steps. And then like I said, kind of break it down 6 months at a time. See where you're at in 6 months. See how far I can push your weight up in 6 months. If you start to get a little sloppy, we'll pull back. I don't think that's going to happen, but just kind of seeing where you're at, because naturally you're very skinny.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be hard to get you fat.
Yeah.
So we'll just do the best that we can to push you up, and then go from there.
What are some of the best? Let me see how to word this. What do you mainly look for in an athlete?
Well, that again. So if I was able to coach without finances being involved, I would look for people that are truly coachable. Look for people that have the athlete. Because I came from an extremely hard coaching background. I know that and sometimes I think to my downfall. When I work with people, I don't overly compliment them, because my coaching background, the people that had coached me, when they complimented me, it meant the world to me, because it was few and far between. So I knew if I heard something positive from them, like I really was doing good.
Yes.
Not like my dad, on the other hand, he raised me very strict, but he also complimented me, and it's different because when you have that father figure that compliments you, it means the world.
Yeah.
But then when you have a coach who you're working so hard for, and he doesn't compliment you often, when he does compliment you, like that really holds value.
Absolutely.
So if I could just choose my athletes, I would look for people that have that athletic background, that aren't looking for praise.
Yeah.
That just want to do the work, want to be committed to the process, and just ultimately want to work hard.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a trait that's lacking in bodybuilding now, is people that truly want to work hard for the love of it.
Yeah.
Without the Instagram posts, and without the instant gratification, and just like being committed. Because like for you right now, like, we're looking at a process that's going to take 2 years to basically get to the start of the process.
Yeah.
Like 2 years to see where you're at.
Yes.
And a lot of people, especially in today's culture, like they don't have that time. They just want it now. And even with Classic, I think you did Classic because it's where your structure suited you at the time. But obviously your heart and your mind is somewhere else.
Yeah.
So now we got to get you to that point. Whereas most bodybuilders are doing the exact opposite. They're truly bodybuilders, but yet they're going to Classic to get that instant gratification of a pro card. And then it's like, where do they go from there?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, ultimately, like I get asked several, via email, like, what type of athletes. I'll take anybody on. But I love to work with the people that really love to work, and I like to also grow in relationally with athletes too, because I think really you can have some success without being relational, but like to really get to the top of the sport, you have to be relational.
I agree.
You have to really connect. You have to know what drives that person. You have to know. For example, like with Nick, we have a really good relationship, and I know if I don't hear from Nick, or if Nick is quiet, I know something's wrong.
Something's up, yeah.
Whereas if we didn't have that bond, I would never know that. So that's another goal of mine, is to really over time, and this is also a great point. I think sometimes, for example, like the relationship that Sean and I have. I have people that I've worked with for 3 months over the internet that I think desire to have that relationship that Sean and I have, and that's not possible, because I'm not going to be fake. I'm not going to force it.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes over time, just organically, us being together, us experiencing moments together, us having conversation. Ultimately, my objective is to grow closer with the people. Like, I like having people in my home, and I like training and, going out to eat and talking about non-bodybuilding related things, and there not being like this awkward silence. Like, I just like to communicate, but that takes time to build. It's not something that just happens overnight.
Yeah. And that's why I chose you as a coach, man, because, I'm looking for the same thing, as a relationship with a coach, because I know how, impactful that is.
Right.
But on another note, I see a lot of folks, post stuff, kids my age, a little even older as well. They say, like, the diet is more important, or some folks will say, like, the training is all that matters. How important do you think they are to coincide, like diet and training and, tracking your training and stuff like that?
I think honestly, training is the most important factor.
Okay.
Especially to maximize your potential. I think the effort that goes into training and then being able to link together successful training sessions is the most important factor.
Okay.
Because even like I can pretty much put money on the fact that your potential is going to be exponentially increased now because you're monitoring your training.
Yes, and I've been tracking it too.
Right, so you take somebody like yourself who's very genetically gifted, but up to this point you haven't monitored your training at all. It's kind of just been like what feels good within the moment.
Yes.
But even going back to, like, for example, like a sprinter, and you ran when you did sprint practice, what did you do? You did the same thing.
Yeah, same thing every day.
Right?
God.
Yeah, same thing every day. And why is that? Because you're trying to get better.
You're trying to get better at that. Yeah.
Right.
Faster.
Right. And that's where the disconnect is within bodybuilding. It's like people think that they can just go into the gym and do whatever they want and get results. And yes, you might get results, but how much better would your results be if you actually just went all in on a consistent plan?
Yes.
That's another, like, sprinting and putting on muscle is pretty much the same thing. If you look at a sprinter's legs, that's what they're doing.
Yes.
It's a prime example of consistency within movement patterns and what that yields over time,
Yeah.
For sure. So if I had to put, now I'm not saying the diet's not important. I'm not saying your recovery and your sleep's not important, but these three factors basically enhance a perfect training system.
Yes.
If you don't have a perfect training system, you can maximize these other three factors and you'll still never be your best.
Interesting. Yeah, that's what I figured as well, because that was the one thing I was always missing.
Right.
And I felt like for me a diet is easy. I can follow a diet, no problem at all. Like I said, this is how I've been eating forever.
Yeah.
So following a diet is nothing for me. I don't ever hit points where I'm like, oh, I crave this. Never, like, ever do I hit that point. You know? And, sadly, which is, it's not good that I've done this, but, like, I've done 10 shows back to back. Since I turned pro, I continued in prep pretty much. Like I told you, I've never had an off season.
Yeah.
I've never once had a crave where I'm like, I got to cheat on my diet. Ever once. It's easy for me.
Yeah.
But the part that I'm missing out on is that training part.
Right.
I'm thinking, like, okay, if this part is so easy, why am I not? I set unrealistic goals for myself, which, I like to do that, but
I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I set these goals, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not here. I'm here, but why am I here? And why am I not closer to that unrealistic goal? I'm like, well, what am I missing then? Because I'm following the diet perfectly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I follow the diet perfectly. In my mind, I'm training hard, but I'm like, well, there's something missing, know. And I found what I'm missing, of course. But, it feels good to find what I'm missing.
Yeah. Because, and I think, too, just another important factor for you is you just need time in a surplus.
Yeah.
You need time where your calories are high. Yeah.
Do you think that affects your hormones when you're lower,
for sure.
like in diet for so long?
Yeah. Especially when you take, like, natural competitors.
Yes.
And they're in a prolonged dieting phase, and you actually look at their blood work in terms of their hormones, whether that's female hormones or male hormones, they're going to be very
shot,
skewed.
aren't they?
Yeah.
I felt like that. I told you, like, with the gyno stuff, I felt like a lot of it, the reason it went away so fast, I felt like is because, I'm doing what I need to be doing now.
Yeah.
And I felt like being in such a low deficit for literally, 2 years I've been doing this now in prep for 2 years. The longest I've ever had off was, I think it was 2 weeks, where I had off and we went to, where did we go on a cruise? We went overseas to a cruise somewhere, me and Lauren did. And that was nice. It was for a 7-day cruise, and that was it. I came back, and consciously I was like, I got to get back on my diet, even though I hadn't, a week off still, but that's the longest I've ever had off.
Yeah.
So, well, now this is the longest. Us only doing this for 2.5 weeks is the longest I've ever been in a surplus.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right?
That's really crazy, yeah.
And I feel like, dang, I told Lauren the other day, I was like, I looked in the mirror, I said, I feel myself getting bigger.
Yeah.
And she was like, you are. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Did you have any like hardships or anything to overcome this year as far as COVID and restrictions?
Man, this
everything was good?
I made the most like bread this year I've ever made in my life.
Good.
I don't know why, but
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm happy
why
to
it
hear
lined
that.
up like that, but it was a great year.
Yeah, I know some people might not like to hear this, but I think a lot of this year came down to where you're at mentally. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, the opportunity's there if you aren't a victim of your circumstance.
Man, I fought hard this year.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Like, as soon as it hit, which it hit really last year in November.
Sure.
And then Atlanta didn't really shut down
No.
completely, but the gyms certainly closed.
Yeah.
For a lot of folks, that was the end of the world. We had a gym, Beast Factory, if you've ever heard of Beast Factory.
I haven't. No.
Okay. Well, Beast Factory is a gym in Atlanta that's just like Madhouse.
Okay.
But it's private. It's a guy who coaches. He owns his gym, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
But it's private just for his athletes. But him and I are really close. He's like a big bro. He's him and I are really, really close. So he was like, you guys come on through. Here's a code for the door. You guys come in whenever you want. So, once we had that, it was great. I didn't have to worry about the gym, and I just worried about money. I just grinded, man. Like I said, This is the best year I've had.
That's awesome.
Because, man, about 2-3 years ago when I first got into it, I can honestly say, and that's why I always thank Lauren. I'm like, because she stuck with me. I had like $0 in my account. I was still in college. I was sharing a truck at the time with my dad. Like, I had nothing, and she stuck with me, and she really pushed me. And, she changed my life, man. I tell her all the time, like, if it wasn't for you, I'm not sure really where I would be.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was in college. I dropped out of college, though. After Mercer, I transferred to KSU. I did 2 years there. And I just was so mentally out of it. I was broke. Like I told you, I had nothing. And, Lauren, at the time, that's when her and I met. And she changed my life.
That's awesome.
And she really, I just needed someone to push me because at the time I felt very lonely. Like I said, me and my dad have gotten better, but it'll never be how it was because of what he's done and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I felt very lonely. My mom went through a hard time where it became where she pushed her kids away too because she was going through with stuff with my dad. So that's why I fight so hard now.
Yeah.
I don't really ever open up about that, but I like to open up about that stuff with you. But yeah, man, this is everything. Everything I do, I put everything into it because I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
Which I do have to.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I came from a spot of having nothing and being 18 with nobody to help me. So if I couldn't eat, I don't have anybody to turn to.
Yeah.
So I did it like that, and Lauren told me, she was like, you can do anything you do it 100%, and she'll be there behind me. And I did it, man. I said, okay, I'll do that,
man.
and I got it. And next year I bought my own car, cash, boom. And then me and her got out of her mom's house. I said, we go move, we go do this, boom. We got to do that cash, everything. And then, 2020 happened, made the most I've ever made. Anything we wanted to do, we want to go on a trip, boom, we do that, So this year has been great.
Awesome.
Well, I guess last year has been great.
Yeah, well, this year will be good, too.
Yeah, this year will be fantastic, too, because I know what I can do. And, although my dad did a lot of stuff that really hurt the family and really hurt me as a kid, you're 10 years old and your dad leave and you don't really hear from him no more.
That's tough.
And like I told you, he was my idol.
Yeah.
So losing that and not knowing why and not hearing from him, and I play my soccer games and stuff, I look out and I don't see him there, I don't even like to think back on it because being 10 to 12 like that, man, but I always remember what he used to tell me. He when I was 10, he said, just try, he said, you never put your all into anything. At the time I was 10, so I didn't want to play soccer that hard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like, you never put your all into anything. And then that was pretty much some of the last thing I could ever, really think that he ever told me, and that drove me. It made me so angry over 10 years, that he told me, like, I never try, and that's why I do everything at 100%. 'Cause I still hear that.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how that really hurt my feelings to tell it, I was 10, I was trying to have fun.
Right.
I don't need to be, a pro athlete at 10 years old.
Yeah.
So, that drives me. I hear it every time I do something.
Yeah.
You know, him telling me, like, you don't really ever try your hardest.
Right.
Like, I'm 10 years old, man.
Yeah.
I am trying my hardest. I'm 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's why regardless of what I do, I'll be the best because I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
You know.
And on the reverse side, talking, I mean, because obviously I'm a dad of 2 now.
Yeah.
I have that same drive for them. You know, like I thought I was motivated before I had kids.
Yeah.
It's on a whole other level now because I have to be an example for them. I have to be an example of what hard work looks like.
Yes.
You know, and kind of like what you were just saying, I saw a quote yesterday that said, your little one won't come to you and say, hey, Dad, I've had a hard day. Mm-hmm. The way that they say that is, hey, Dad, will you come play with me?
Yes.
You know, and that hit me hard because, like, they're not at a place mentally where they can communicate at our level yet.
Yeah.
But that's them communicating, saying, hey, like, I need you. Like, hey, I want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just being mindful of those things. And that's been another, like, growth factor that I've gone through is because I am so driven in terms of, like, my coaching and my work commitments. But, like, those boys need me too,
yes.
You know? And that really has been part of why I've been so excited to be a part of Revive because by the time my boys are 6, 7, 8 years old, like, I want to be able to go to their sporting events and, you know, pick them up from school and not have to be on this the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, I want to actually, like, really be present with them.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's kind of just a big goal of mine. So that was a good point.
Yeah, man. I love to see it, man. I always tell everybody who's a father, I'm like, you know, just always be there for them.
Yeah.
Because it I don't think a lot of times dads realize how it affects the kids.
Sure.
All through their life. Yes,
right.
me and my dad are cool now.
Yeah.
You know, he came to the O last year, man, and just seeing his face to be at the Olympia it almost made me like cry when I walked him down. I took his hand and I walked him down, you know,
yeah.
in the O, because in Vegas, you know, they have that big red carpet thing that goes down.
Yeah.
And just seeing him like teary-eyed, because at the time they had like, it was my face on the thing, because it was like a holographic thing, and it cycled through all the athletes, and he saw me on the thing, and he just got teary-eyed. And it was cool, but, you know, I don't think parents sometimes know, like, okay, when we split up and the dad just leaves, stuff like that, how it affects that kid forever.
Right.
You know, and a lot of folks say, oh, well, you know, it's 10 years ago, you should get over that. But it's like, you know,
it's hard, man.
My dad.
Yeah.
You know?
it wasn't your choice to come into this world.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, so... Well, that took a turn for some seriousness, but I think it was good.
Absolutely.
So how much longer are you here for? Till Thursday?
Till Thursday. So
okay.
we fly out Thursday midday, like 3 o'clock, something like that.
Cool.
Yep.
So that's it for today. I think
Sounds
that was good, man. I enjoyed it. All right, so this is Our Culture Podcast. Continue to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
That was good, dude.
Solid.